Yes, yes. What's going on, friends? This is MC Till with Everybody's Hip-Hop Label. You are tuned into the Boom Bap Chat, number 47. We have an incredible legendary artist in the building. Before we introduce him, I do want to give a shout out to Everybody's Records here in Cincinnati. If you're in Cincinnati, go check them out. Hit them up. And if you're not in Cincinnati, you can check out their stuff at everybodysrecords.com. And if you don't have the book, the Boom Bap Review, right here, you can check that out at boombapreview.com. Next year's edition of the Boom Bap Review, coming out next November, is going to feature an article about a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so that is one of the things we're going to get into tonight with our guest tonight. Our guest tonight is a legendary MC. He is responsible for one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time. And since then, he has only grown and has done incredible work. And it's just an honor and a blessing to welcome this man to the show and to say happy birthday. So welcome and happy birthday, Dres. Good to have you on, man.
Yes, thanks for having me, man. It's definitely an honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So good to have you, man. So I remember as I was preparing for tonight, when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, 10 or whatever. And I was in one of those clubs. I don't know if y'all remember these clubs where you can like get 12 tapes for a penny. Anyway,
Columbia.
For Columbia House. Yeah, exactly.
And it's
so
tapes.
It was tapes.
Yeah, right.
So I filled the thing out and I checked off a wolf in sheep's clothing. Got that tape in the mail. Man, I ripped off the packaging, put it in. It's like I was listening to that tape for days, weeks, months, years, decades now. Still one of my favorite albums of all time.
No.
And one of the things I appreciate about you is your music has stayed consistent and dope. And you as a person, it just, as I follow you online, it just seems like you have evolved as a person, and the way that you share your son and the way that you're fathering your son is like, wow, this dude is inspiring in so many different ways. So just want to give you your flowers and props. So props to you.
Appreciate that.
Man. Yeah,
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, for sure. So we want to talk about this new album for sure, because everyone that I talk to about, having you on tonight is like, yo, ask him about the new album with Dilla. Ask him about that. So we're going to talk about that. But I do want to go back a little bit and just pick your brain for a minute about Native Tongues and your first two albums with Black Sheep, if that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah. So can you tell us like how you all, Black Sheep was kind of were y'all like the last group to come into the family of Native Tongues?
Kind of through that first wave door. Yeah. Like kind of, like there's definitely the nucleus, I would say, being Jungle, Tribe, and Quest, what I'm saying? For the most part, like when you say Native, that's kind of the first wave. Of course, I would include Latifah in that and Red Alert, probably the catalyst. But but kind of squeezing in that door was Black Sheep and maybe Moni, you know what I'm saying? And like you'd start hearing of Chi and things of that nature. And yeah, like it was just an amazing time in the music, and to be affiliated with something that was just so artistically superior. Like I had the opportunity, me and Long had the opportunity to be in the studio during the making of Tribe's first album. You know what I'm saying? Before anybody knew who they were, everyone knew who De La was, knew who Tribe was, but we're all together while in that Tribe, De La and Jungle were, but we're all together while Tribe is working on their very first album. Yeah. And so it was just incredible, like, to be in the room, and to be learning, like we're literally flies on the wall. Long was probably had a better relationship with everyone because when he was in high school, I had left Carolina my senior year after I finished school. I came back to New York, but Long was still down there, but he had struck up a relationship with Red that when he visited New York in the summer, when school was out, he would get with Red. So Long was actually in the studio for the Jungle Brothers' first album. Oh, wow. You know what I'm saying? Sure. Right. His relationship was deeper, which was how he brought me in. Like, like me and Long spent my senior year together through a mutual friend who had equipment. And, like after Long finished school, he comes to New York and I'm kind of just getting out of some trouble and really kind of just getting myself situated. I had an apartment in the Bronx I had just gotten it, and I passed Long on the streets of Manhattan, literally on lunch. And that was my little man that I hadn't seen since my senior year in high school, you know what I'm saying, in my man's room. And he had been coming back and forth over the summers, got real cool with Long, got cool with Jungle, De La, and, was cool with Tribe before he even knew what they were going to do. And so when me and him kind of got back together, it wasn't, I didn't want to bring him around the elements that I was trying to get away from. So I started hanging out with him, you know what I'm saying? Which was like, I felt a little even funny because he's like my little man, you know what I'm saying? But he brings me into a room that has, De La, Jungle, and, I'm meeting, Tribe and Red Alert, and, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, wow. Like, like I'm blown away. And it easily becomes, we all become fast friends. And it becomes a place that I really long to go to. I can't wait to the next studio session or that we're hanging out again. So, like this relationship gets built to the degree that me and Long were afforded the opportunity to be in studio sessions with some of the dopest cats in music. And to learn, like we already kind of had ability, but now we're getting fine-tuned. Now we're getting polished. Now the little things that we might have had a question about are getting answered without us even having to ask the questions. It's just because we're observing and we're seeing, we're learning. Long did the cuts in Buddy, you know what I'm saying? Like, like little things like that, like Long also, gave a beat or two to Tip for, for their first album. Like, they're all friends and everyone's, everyone's real selfless. And it was a type of environment that if someone's in the booth and they say something and whoever felt like they could have said it like this, you could say that. And if everyone thought it was, say like, like no one cared. It was all about just making something that was dope and that spoke for all of us, so it was an amazing time in my life, for real. And, and it was also a time that you get to put some pressure on yourself because it's like, like, all right, me and Long, we decide we're going to put a demo together. We're going to move forward as a group. Yeah. Now, how do we stand out amongst these cats? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a friendly competition. It's not like, not to downplay their ability, but it's to define our own, you know what I'm saying? So that was a pleasant challenge as well that, that I felt that, it was important that we met, you know what I'm saying? Because it was definitive, and true to form, even when we were deciding our name, we looked at the groups we were hanging with, and it's like, like we're kind of the black sheep of these cats. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it came to be. Like there was Kente cloths and safari clothes, and De La might be wearing pajamas, whatever. And we kind of looked exactly, like my walk has been the same for a lot of years, so we looked different. You know what I'm saying? So that was where Black Sheep came from. It wasn't so much that we were, the bastards of the family, but we played with it. You know what I'm saying? Got a brother, Prince Paul. Thank you. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm an old.
No, you good, man. So, that intro is legendary, bro.
I know.
That intro is legendary, bro.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And we were cool with that because it was fun and it was giving us an opportunity to be ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like it was taking a lot of pressure off of living up to something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like when you take that pressure off yourself, sometimes you get a chance to just be yourself. Yeah. And one of the greatest things that I learned from our first album was that being yourself is enough. Like that's something that you really have to learn in life sometimes, because before you really get there, you're trying to find yourself, you know what I'm saying? And, so everything that we thought, and that we put the wax and that we, demoed and what have you, like it really was enough. It just needed to be polished. It just needed to be definitive, and then it needed to be deliberate, you know what I'm saying? Like, and fun and real. And, we learned from the best, man. Especially like a De La, forget about it. Oh my God, like those dudes are like gods to me, But all of them are though. All of them are. Yeah, love them all.
Do you still talk to those guys?
Yeah. Big time. Little secret is within the next few weeks, there's going to be a new podcast that I'll be affiliated with. It's called the Native Tongue Cast. And it's going to be me, Mace, and Moni Love.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. So we're about to put that together. We're just kind of etching it out right now. And it's past time that native tongue be the voice that they're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely missing. You know what I'm saying? And we've definitely made some big mistakes. As a collective that, one of the things we talk a lot about the younger generation, but one of the things that I salute the younger generation is that they're about their business. You know what I'm saying? These kids know how to monetize what they're doing. They have LLCs off the door. You know what I'm saying? Like they're about their business. The artistic part suffers, which is where we were just so much more artistic than them. But their business, structure is it exists. And ours didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I salute them on that level.
Yeah.
And so just to say, it's all about us, I wish that we had formed Native Tongue LLC. You can't write a check to the native tongue. And that's not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? Like we're supposed to have a foundation. We're supposed to have a chairman, board, a board that exists, that we all sit on, that we all distribute our own music, that we do tours, that we control and things of that nature. And we didn't take advantage of that. But I feel like it's still not too late.
Not too late, nah.
Yeah, no, it's never too late.
Do you think this podcast might be the gateway to a Native Tongues album?
Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully a whole slew of Native Tongue things that don't exist. Hopefully this helps it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, I don't really point fingers at anyone. I kind of understand what happened, and what happened was that once we got to the place where us as independent groups could sustain ourselves and could feed our families, it wasn't as important that we circle back around and do the things that we were doing together, not understanding that we were much stronger together. Like, you know what I'm saying? But once it got to the place that it wasn't contingent upon anything else but what we were doing as individuals to make a living, then that became the walk. And, it's understandable, but at the same time, I feel like we were supposed to be a microcosm of the things that our records asked of the people. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to lead by example. We're talking about self-empowerment. We're talking about unity. We're talking about, just respect of ourselves and respect of the world and things on a real global level that, being self-sufficient, being intelligent, you know what I'm saying? And, so to a degree, we didn't do some of the things that we were supposed to do, but if you look at each individual group, their work speaks for themselves. They're superior groups. All,
definitely. Well,
I was
gonna say, go ahead, IOMOS.
No, that's the one thing I wanted to say. Like me, I was a huge Native. It was only two crews that I really wanted to be a part of growing up. Native Tongues was one, and Boot Camp Clique.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, it was always like an intelligent, like aura about Native Tongue. It was an intelligence about it. You know what I mean? I'm from the south side of Chicago, from Inglewood, and cats listening like Tupac. I was the only one in my high school really listening to De La. And they like, man, why you listening to, man, we don't, this like,
Tupac was listening to De La.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, cats was like, man, Joe, this a gang city, bro. We don't listen to that. I'm like, well, I do. Like, this, it just felt right to me. Like, that type of music, because that was the type of dude that I was. You know what I mean? So
it resonated with you, right? And
definitely.
and with a lot of cats, you know what I'm saying? Especially too, this is my word. Like sometimes we lose sight of exactly what you're speaking to, what you like, you know what I'm saying? And we get so caught up in what is liked, you know what I'm saying? Like I wish YouTube didn't have views, you know what I'm saying? Imagine if YouTube didn't have views. That means that you like something just because you liked it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not because a million people watched it. You like, and that sets precedence these days. If a million people have viewed it, that now has power.
Right.
You know, not that it's good, but it's powerful. You
That's
know
a
what I'm
good
saying? And there's a difference, you know. And you know, but I respect what you're saying. Like, you know, like that's how you felt and you walked that. Like too many of us don't do that, you know, for real.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the Black Sheep albums, the first two. But before that, fellas, anything else you want to ask around the Native Tongues, Profound, or?
I mean, I got stuff, but not around the Native Tongues. We can,
okay.
you know.
So I do. Basically, since we run a fan page on Facebook about the Native Tongues, anything you say will probably show up on there because we're just huge fans.
Yeah.
So this is.
You muted yourself, Joe. I'm not sure what happened with the connect. He doesn't think he's muted.
No, his mic's not even muted.
Here, so.
Well, we'll come back. We'll come back to Joe.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Neville.
Hey, what's up, Dres? This is Neville here. Ghost Peace, man. I just want to always ask something that's curious to me is Mr. Long's voice on De La's first album at all? Like in any of the skits or whatever?
The very first album?
Yes.
That's the second album.
That's the second album.
That's De La's dead. He's all over it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what's up.
And who's this? This is
Neville.
We got a little story.
He needs some sun. I'm just letting you know. A little bit of sun, brother.
Yo, Dres, I got a little quick thing. We met on in Queens real quick.
Oh,
we
yeah?
each other. Man, I was like, Dres. I scared it was in the summer. I scared the mess out of you and you was in the sun. And I was like, So I didn't want to show my face this time. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I kept my 6 feet before the pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before the pandemic.
So love. Probably just, you sound like you just shouted and scared me.
Yes. You turned around and you put the peace sign up, but it was like a gun salute. I was like, and I didn't even move close to you. I was like, peace. He was like, peace. And then you turned around and was like, all right.
Man. Love is love, man.
It's like the fat woman that Long did. He did the voice of that skit on De La Soul. Like, the fat woman. He's like jumping out like that.
Long was hilarious. Oh my goodness, he was a funny dude.
Joe, did you want to finish your question? I don't know.
It was basically that song "Black from Envy." I thought was one of the most intelligent songs on that first album, and it touched on so many great topics. And it was really a great influence for me. And I love the beat. It's and I read somewhere that most of the songs were basically from rock samples versus versus like James Brown or whatever, the traditional stuff. And that was a definite influence on me.
Right. Yeah. Like a lot of people thought it was a heavily jazz influence, but it was heavily rock influence. You know what I'm saying? As far as the samples on it. Yeah, on the law.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you pick out a lot of those samples, or was that all Mr. Long?
Well, Long created, I would say, probably about 90% of what you hear. Certain songs, like don't get it twisted. Like this, it always comes down to the MC as far as what kind of resonates with you. You know what I'm saying? So, there was a ton of tracks that weren't picked. You know what I'm saying? But I'd be like, okay, let me get this one. And he might do 5 tracks. Whereas I might take 2 of them, and now he's shopping the other 3 to wherever he might be able to do something or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely us going back and forth as far as the track selection. And then there's songs like Similac, like the LaFleur sample. Like I had just heard it, like we're just playing records, and I heard this, I hear this loop, and it just resonated with me. So I take the record myself, and I pause button it. Remember we used to make pause buttons of a loop. I pause button the loop for about 3-4 minutes, and I write Similac to it. You know what I'm saying? To which then I tell Long, yo, take this loop, build around it, and he creates what we hear as the original Similac. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like what we were doing, and any song that he might have structured, like I kind of could add to if I had something that because at this time now I'm doing a little production on my own, but I'm not trying to be a producer. Right. I just enjoy the art form. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I might hear something that that might fit in something. Like I remember I gave him the bass for On the Wall or what have you. Like so little things like that might be there, but I would never try to take away the genius that is Mr. Long. That dude is special.
Yeah.
Given I think the correct surroundings. He's brilliant. Right.
Yeah, his ear for sampling was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was a Pop Killer TV interview that I saw you in. It may be something else, but you said something about like when he looped that bass line and you did the song for Choice Is Yours, the revisited version. You talked about how like you knew that you had something with that song.
Yeah.
You ever had that feeling with any other songs or any songs on Nonfiction?
Yeah, like maybe not to the degree. Like, like those songs that I felt like had the ability to be, something special, but just never popped off. Like I thought On the Wall that we did for the soundtrack for a movie. What was the movie? But there was a track On the Wall I thought was going to be tremendous, and really didn't jump off for us, or even get chosen to be a single off the soundtrack, which I thought it would have blew the soundtrack up. But there's songs that I've done, but never quite as strong, I think, as Flavor. I mean, as Choice. Maybe Flavor of the Month.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe Flavor of the Month
is up there.
And even Flavor of the Month didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I knew how special it was, but I think it was like right under OPP. You know what I'm saying? Which was an amazing song, you know what I'm saying? Right. But I just felt like artistically we just did something, and it resonated with everybody, but I don't think everybody totally understood what we just did with that. You know what I'm saying? Just as far as the creation of it. But years later, it still stands and it's dope. But Choice was a whole different beast.
Yeah, it's crazy because nobody even remembers the original mix. They all know the remix.
Right.
Real talk. And sometimes you'll play the original and people will think that's a remix. But I remember after we did the remix, I'm standing in the studio with Long, and like literally what you probably heard on the Poplar or whatever. I looked at him and I'm like, yo, I don't know what we just did, but we just did something, man. Yeah. Like I've never heard nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? It was a dope feeling because, like it was very hip hop, but you hadn't heard anything like this. You know what I'm saying? So it was a special, But you know what though? I feel that way about some of the stuff that I got coming on the low right now. Like this D&D project. There's a couple of joints on there that I know I've done something. I just don't know what I've done yet.
Well, let's jump into that. I heard you share this story, and I would like you to invite you to share it again. How it came about that you met Ma Dukes and came into that situation with these beats.
It was pretty cool. And man, like still to this point, there's certain things I don't even know, but I just don't stress. But I'm just to say, I didn't have that relationship with Dilla. Like a lot of the natives did. You know what I'm saying? But I met Dilla like once in passing, you know what I'm saying? And I think at a time when Black Sheep was about to kind of break up and step away from each other, he was really kind of coming into his. And I was soon to leave New York again and go back to Carolina. He was coming to New York, about to be going to LA. And we meet in passing. So years later, I'm like doing a show, the year before last, I'm doing a show in Chicago, and cats are like, yo, you want to meet Dilla's mom? To which I'm like, hell yeah, just out of respect. Like, bring her back, bring her back. They bring her back. She comes with her husband. I meet him, just show the proper respect, for the situation. Talk, chit chat for 10 seconds. Turns out her husband knows my mom in North Carolina. I'm like, get out, like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking. But that was it, breakout, and, nice to meet you. And that was it. The next month, I had a charity show in Puerto Rico. I turned to the right, stage right is standing Ma Dukes and her husband. And I'm blown away, like, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like who knew? Like, I'd bump into you guys out here at this, event. So after the set, I go straight to them and just start talking to them. Turns out she had a house out there. They have a house out there, and they at home, and they're like, yo, we're about to go back to the house. Ma's gonna cook. Got some DJs coming through. We got speakers in the yard. You want to come through, smoke some whatever? Yo, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Would love to, would love to do that. So I go back and me and my dude DJ Strike, and we wound up hanging out with them to damn near the morning. Like I had a flight the next morning and wound up going from their crib to the airport. Wow. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we had spent a lot of time, and she's cooking, I'm talking, I'm learning all this stuff about her son, and, you know, talking to her husband, getting cool with him. And, you know, like they wound up telling me about how they just got back a lot of the rights to his music under the umbrella of the estate. And that they were looking for some things to do with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the night, they're like, you know, like, would you be interested in putting together a project from, you know, from some of the stuff that's under the umbrella of the estate? And I'm like, wow, like, yo, yeah, like I would have been glad to get a track or two.
Right. Yeah.
But to do a project, you know, so now it kind of becomes a little bit of pressure though. Like, whereas I'm like, all right, I don't know, like Dilla knew so many different cats and worked with so many different cats. And there's so much energy out there that would love this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, wow, I'm grateful for this opportunity, but I don't want to not live up to this opportunity.
Yeah.
So I start doing a lot of investigating, listening to every interview, just listening to every Dilla track that I had, you know, like the millions of tracks this dude has done that I didn't really even realize existed. You know, so I started just doing crazy homework, listening to everything, listening to every interview, just studying before I even pick out anything.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? So it becomes like this journey, man. And, you know, and when I do get the tracks, like, you know, like the way he created was pretty dope. Like he was real impersonal with it, like things that I probably would have done all kinds of 5-minute mixes of. He did 45-second snippets and moved on. You know, I guess, you know, realizing, I guess that his time was limited and what have you. Like he just did these snippets that contained everything a song would contain, and he moved on. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm building these songs from these snippets.
Yeah.
And you know, now it comes, you know, like, well, for me to kind of freak them and do some different things with them and play with them a little bit, because I wanted to sound like something that is creative and reflective and is timeless. Yeah. And you know, and I felt like something that he would have dug, you know what I'm saying? Even though I didn't have this relationship with him. Right. But it's kind of bugged because there's been a documentary in the making of while I'm doing this project. And the documentary just got green lighted to become even bigger. Like it's got, you know, it's about to have some real budget and all of this stuff behind it. It's, you know, probably gonna wind up on a Netflix or Amazon or something, but it's gonna be pretty dope. Wow. And pretty extensive. And the only one that is endorsed by the family. You know, so like, you know, that even adds more to what I have to do, you know what I'm saying? So I took my time and I really kind of just delved into this project and let each kind of track kind of speak to me and tell me what it said. And I let it kind of correlate to what's going on in the world these days. And, you know, the name of the project is No Words. And the reason I named it that is because, you know, like there's a lot of talk about what our music was and what your music's not and this, that, and the other. And you can't really tell someone about that, but you can show them, you know what I'm saying? And that's what this project, let me show you where I come from. It's a powerful project. It's a feel-good project. And I dare say it's been a long time since there was a feel-good project. You know what I'm saying? Something that made you feel good and strong after you heard it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, you know, that's what this project is. It's probably one of the closest examples to what the golden era is. You ain't got to tell somebody. You can literally give them this project. Wow. And they'll feel what we felt when we put on headphones and, you know, and went somewhere else, you know? So, you know, I feel really good about it. Everyone that's heard what's there is kind of blown away. You'll hear me in a few different ways you've never heard me, and you'll hear Dilla in a few different ways. And my dude Pete Miser did the mixing with me, and he's an amazing dude. And I did it all at DITC Studios, which is an amazing place for hip hop. It's a dope project, man. I really look forward. And features from Bun B to Freeway to Chuck D, to my man Jay Sands. I got CeeLo Green. Wow. I got Del the Funky Homo Sapien. What? I got Chi Ali, my son. Wow. I got Corey Guns. Yo, this joint is going down, my dude. Like this joint is going down. My dude Alexander Simone, who's singing on it. He's grandson grandson of Nina Simone.
Nina Simone, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yo, like this project, it's heavy, man. Word up, it's a dope project. I can't wait for the world to hear it.
Do you have an idea of when that's happening?
It looks like I'm gonna wind up dropping a single or two before I drop the album, just because so much is going on the film side, and the film is kind of a little bit behind what I've done. Okay. So we want to kind of make it so that we can release it together. So I'm gonna wind up dropping a single or two just to kind of help the time go for the film side to get done. So, but I'll wind up dropping something this summer for sure. Dope, you know, dope. It'll be a single, probably be a single or two before the album drops.
So you got the No Words coming, which everyone is just, super anticipating that. You got the new podcast, Native Tongue Podcast. Can't wait for that. And did I hear that your son, Sid, has an album? Or did that already drop?
Sid has a single.
A single, okay.
That Showbiz produced. And it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope as well. Probably wait for the nicer weather to come, spring officially to get here, and we'll do something with that. Then my oldest son, Honor, who used to sing for I don't know if you're into punk rock, but my older boy is Honor Titus, and he sung lead for this punk rock group called Cerebral Ballsy. And
that's a dope name.
Yo, like I had an opportunity to watch them blow up. Like they literally toured more than I did at one point. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like I opened up for them one time in Connecticut. And they were killing it on the punk rock scene. And, he stepped away from NYU to start this band. And when the band really kind of gets really big, like he's touring Europe extensively and all of this stuff, he steps away from it and starts painting. And he's now this renowned painter that's selling paintings for 5 figures and such. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing what your kids could do sometimes, but it's been a pleasure to be their father, you know what I'm saying, and just enjoy who they are, given the opportunity to be a father. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to say that. Like my father, my parents separated when I was like 9, 10, and I get it as an adult. I get it where, two people's relationship becomes something else and they wind up parting ways. Yeah. But the sacrifice that it takes on behalf of the child is worth it to me. Mm. You know what I'm saying? If it's not dangerous. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes being uncomfortable or being mad or some shit like that doesn't hold a candle to staying on the right side of the door. That's how it got broken down to me. Staying on the right side of the door is really important to the child's well-being. And when I was a kid, I used to wish that my father had made some sacrifices that I've had to make. And I get it. I see, why it doesn't work. And I see where, where you do get a pass to say, I'm not going to stay. No one can blame you for not staying on either side. Right. You know what I'm saying? But when both of them make the commitment for the family's sake, because that's now your family, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something in that's that I didn't really understand. I didn't know what a nuclear family was until I was 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? So there's something that I've grown to learn about, and it is some sacrifice in there, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of learning, it's a lot of compassion, understanding, and going both ways, because that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? Like men and women, we're gonna fuck up, but it's to have someone that you can be honest with when you fall on your face, and that they're gonna help you up. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the child needs. You know what I'm saying? And once I kind of grasped that, then those sacrifices weren't sacrifices at all, really. You know what I'm saying? It was what had to be done. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? In order to sustain my family. Yeah. So, but like I said, though, you got to have someone that wants it to work just like you do. Right. You can't stay somewhere where, your well-being is just, not gonna make it. But, my children helped me to see something that I wish my father had seen. You know, and my father's dope. Don't get it twisted. Like, you know, like me and him have a much better relationship today as men. But when I was a child, I had to learn so many things without a father. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's part of how and why I'm the father that I'm trying to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's wonderful, you know. And as I said at the beginning, you know, I love your music. I'm one of your biggest fans, but the fact that you know, are continually open to learning and growing and becoming a better human, like that's more important than anything. And I really appreciate that about you.
That's peace, man. I appreciate that as well.
And listen, we could talk to you all night long, and we want to, but I know that the 30 minutes have crept up on us, and there's a party house. So if you need to jump back in, we understand.
Well, you know what? This is my word. Like, and I apologize for that. It happens to be my birthday. I got a house full. But just to say, let's do it again. Like, let's do it more extensively. And I got this project, and this is my word. I already see, like, you know, like y'all are real heads, and we could have a real conversation.
You got MCs up in here, Dres. That's why we didn't tell you. You got MCs at the table, so we
and producers.
Dope. You know, and just the energy is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, questions, it's all real. And, you know, I appreciate y'all taking a moment to talk to me. And, you know.
Can we ask one question before you go? We just want to clear it up. Are you and Chia Lee brothers?
Once and for all,
look just alike, bro. Like y'all could be brothers, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, at this point, we kind of are. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
But me and she aren't related at all. You know what I'm saying? We're not cousins or anything. Wow. And it was like, you know, it was kind of the same scenario where, you know, we're in the studio, and one day she comes in with baby Chris. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's looking at Chi and looking at me and looking at Chi and looking at me. And it was kind of like, you know, like we just gravitated to each other because everybody thought, you know, like we were related somehow and this and the other. So we just started playing with it. Then as I got to know him, like he's this sharp kid, you know, like he was a fly kid had more sneakers than God, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, like he was this sharp kid. And so then it was about, you know, like us doing shows and stuff like that. So I had to meet his mom and all that, his father, because I was going to be responsible. If he's coming, you know, do a show with me, I'm going to be responsible for him. So in meeting his parents, they had to feel comfortable with me. And then it started taking the form of family because now I'm around his family. He starts being around my family, you know what I'm saying? And the more we was around each other, the more it seemed like we looked like each other, to the degree that even when he had, you know, his problems and everything, and he's moving around, I got picked up one time.
Wow.
And held, because they thought I was Chi. Like it was literally.
Wow.
Word up. Literally got caught. Like detectives had to come and be like, you know, like take the handcuffs on it. It's not him. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it was that real. But we're not related at all. Wow. But I love him with all my heart.
That's your brother, though. That's your brother. Y'all not brothers, but that's your brother.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
We would love to ask you more about Chia Lee, more about Native Tongues, more about nonfiction, and now my love that I want to pick your brain on. There's so much we want to ask you, so we can bookmark this. If you're open to it, we'll reschedule.
I'm totally open.
But we'll do that. And again, thank you for taking the time from your
to
come be with us. Hope you enjoy the rest of your celebration tonight.
Will do. And just a quick plug. Everybody that's out there that's not in the know, you could check out some of my independent projects at poolofgenius.com.
Yes.
Poolofgenius.com. There's videos, Evertan stuff, me and Jerobi, you might not have known about.
Oh yeah.
Videos of independent stuff, merch.
Nice.
You can also follow me at Black Sheep Dres at IG and Dres Black Sheep on Twitter. And and thanks y'all for real.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Right.
Peace, man.
Yep.
Let me go back. Let me go finish getting drunk, y'all.
Yeah.
Birthday, man.
Bro.
Have fun,
Dres.
Yes, sir. Salute.
Yo, Dres.
Isn't it amazing when the people, the artists that you look up is so cool and down to earth, bro?
Yeah.
Like, it make you love them even more, bro. Like, man, Joe.
When he said, "Hey, fellas, I want to do this again," I was just like, he wasn't. What were you gonna say, Profound?
Man, I just thought it was dope, and I think what we doing and the way that we do what we do, I think everybody that we've had, they see how genuine we are about what we boom bap and the culture of hip hop and what we talking about, and I think that's what, you know, it ends up becoming like just us. It's not like barbershop talk. You just sitting around talking to a bunch of people that you feel like you've known for 20 or 30 years already.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's do some takeaways. There was a lot there in that short amount of time. IOMOS, man, takeaways from tonight.
Oh man, I just liked what he said about being yourself. You know what I mean? Like being yourself is enough, and I think that's something that I needed to hear. Because I'm like my toughest critic when it comes to school, or when it comes to like doing music. Like I'm my toughest critic and thinking that I'm not enough. But I love the fact that he was like, being yourself is enough. You know what I mean? And I just like the fact that how he met Dilla's moms. Like that story kind of touched me too as well. How he was able to like build with them, and it was like organic. And I just feel like that's a MO of Native Tongue. Like, it's not nothing forced. It was just like, even in how they did their music, I felt like it was just organic. They did what they felt, and then we got to witness it through the products that they released. You know what I mean? That genius, like he was saying. So that's what I got out of it, man. And I'm like an even bigger fan of his now.
Right. Yeah. Same.
Talking to him. So Yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah. That point about, you know, being yourself is enough. It reminded me of a friend that used to ask people, when did you feel accepted? And it's like, I think that's kind of, you know, what he was getting at. Like, do you feel accepted? You know, dope. Profound. Any takeaways?
I mean, it felt like it went by really fast. I mean, but my takeaway was that, just to piggyback off of IO, like when you meet the people that, you know, you look up to, or, you know, we didn't bought their records, and, you know, you never even think that you would be in a position to even have a conversation, you know, with this brother, and to see him be so accepting and so humble, just who he is in his spirit, it matched everything that I've seen, you know, in the interviews that I've seen. And that's one of the takeaways, is just like, he's just, you know, he's a regular father, you know, he a hip-hop father like me and you, Till, and all of fathers. Joe, you a father too, Joe?
Oh yeah, I got twins.
Yeah, man. See, you know, and you just can relate, you know what I mean? You just can relate. And it was just really dope to talk to a legend, man, who's still doing stuff that's legendary.
Joe, how about you?
I love the fact that how he talked about the native tongues and addressing some of the issues that they had, and how they are, you know, doing a better effort to try to do something together, and also realizing how they kind of missed the mark on some of the legacy that they could have had together, for good reasons why they did it apart, but just realizing that there was an opportunity that they missed out on. You know, and I heard different projects over the years. Birds of the Feather was one, when he got on, you know, with De La Soul and Jungle Brothers. And then doing a tribute to Fight Dog a few years ago, I think on the Tortured Soul album, just little snippets like that, where they're getting together to do native tongue stuff. I think it's important that, and he thinks it's important, that they understand the legacy that they have and the power that they have to do something together. And it was really good to hear him talk about the history of it and where they were going now. I think the podcast is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to hear it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And hopefully, you know, like we were saying in the chat, I thought they were going to talk about an album, but I'll take a podcast.
Heck yeah, I'll take it. I'll take anything. Cool. Neville, how about you?
My takeaway was about the fatherhood. Family, sacrifice. I mean, those were the things that I really took away from it. I know it was funny before, but when I actually met him in the street and he did like kind of back off, I know that the love that I was showing him scared him, and it was a public place, and I just went like I just caught a glimpse of him, and I was coming from lunch, And the way he kind of like was like standoffish with his son, I was like, oh man, I don't know how this is gonna play. So I kind of stood my ground. I didn't go closer to him. I kind of was like, all right, then he just kept going. He was like, please, and I was like, all right, so still. But fast forward to this now, it's just like it's amazing, like how open he was and his parent, you know, just like other people that have come on and interviewed. And I liked one of the points that one of you brought up about the album, about like self-awareness, knowledge of self, acceptance, self-esteem, black with no end, those things like really helped me with coming up, moving from Queens to Long Island and feeling like an outsider, and even like Outkast coming as well. These words, these names, Black Sheep. So he just means a lot to me, and that album, A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, means a lot to me just as much as it means to you, Till. Yeah. And this is just a special night. That's the takeaway for me. Thank you.
Definitely a special night. I mean, for me, I was telling Profounders earlier, you know, Dres is one of my favorite MCs of all time, like top 5 favorite personal MCs. And that first album, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, is one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time. And so just to have him in here, and that's why I got all giddy when he was like, I'd like to come back and do this again. I was like, oh my gosh, he wants to come back and spend time with me and us. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. I was jumping in joy inside. So that was super dope. Took that away. What you were saying, Nevertheless, about the fatherhood, you know, what I was expressing to him, that like, just as a human being, you know, some MCs, I see this in common too. Like, you listen to their earlier work, you hear things that they say in their rhymes, then you listen to their albums that they put out later on, 10, 20 years down the line, and the content is changing. It's maturing. They're becoming, you know, better human beings. And like, that's really dope to me, you know? And so to have him, you know, be that type of human being and make the dope content that he's still making is really cool. And to piggyback off what you said, Joe, when he talked about, you know, them missing a mark, he said, but it's never too late. And that's something I really took away. Like, native tongues are still here. I mean, rest in peace, Fife, of course, but you know, they're here and they have a following, they have a base, and you know, it's never too late. So like, to hear him express, and it was like energy, like he got excited when he was talking about that, you know, the native tongues and the opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh man, here we go again with these native tongue questions.
Right. And when I asked him, like, could this be a gateway to an album? He was like, yes, you know, I would like that, you know. So it's like, to see that energy was, you know, really, really dope. So I hope more comes from that. So can't wait to have him back on. I also can't wait for next Thursday, everyone tuning in. I'm sorry we didn't get your questions. It was Dres's birthday, so we only had him for a limited time. He actually came in from another room where the party was happening, so he just slipped in, did the thing with us, and then slipped back in. So we didn't have him very long. So I couldn't get everyone's question, but I'll try to get it the next time we have him on. But next week, we have a very special show. We have another legend in the house, one of the most formative MCs for a lot of us in this room and for many people the world over. We have Special Ed next Thursday. So you want to tune in for that. This dude is a legend. You know, he's been putting in work for, you know, decades, just like Dres, you know. So very excited to have Special Ed on. So make sure you tune in next Thursday for that. You know, as we always do, we always give our shout out. So we'll go around the room. We'll go opposite order. So Neville, what shout outs do you have for us tonight?
Man, I'm just shouting out the Boom Bap review, the Boom Bap Chat, and everybody in here, man. God bless. That's it, man.
That's it. Cool. Joe?
Just shouting out the love of hip hop. Just this whole scene that we have going on, interviewing great artists that we've looked up to, and just trying to carry on that legacy and just pushing the love out to people who follow us. It's just a beautiful thing. So shout out to everybody who loves hip hop.
Right on. IOMOS?
Yeah, same thing, man. Just shout out to the culture, hip hop, man. The more we know, the more we move into action. You know what I'm saying? Like, hip is the know, hop is the movement, right? So yeah, shout out to the culture and shout out to my Boom Bap Chat family, man, for real. Like,
right on.
No doubt. Yeah.
No, we did never. Sorry, Profound.
Oh man, I ain't got that many, man. We gonna shout out to Dres for sure.
Yeah, man.
And the whole crew, the Boom Bap crew, and then to my man K Solo. What up, man? I know you checking us out.
Yeah,
I'll be at you in a little while. And you know, hip hop forever, man. That's what we do.
Yeah, shout out K Solo. We got him coming up soon. That's exciting. We'll chat with him.
No doubt.
Shout out for sure, Dres. Rest in peace to Jay Dilla. Shout out to my Dukes. That No Words album.
Fife too, man.
Rest in peace, Fife. Yes, the No Words Dilla and Dres album's coming at some point. You heard it. Something is coming this summer. At least a single. There's going to be a documentary with it. So shout out for Dres for being here tonight. Shout out to MJ for bringing Dres to us. Shout out to Special Ed. Shout out to my mom and my sister who have been tuning into some of these Boom Bap chats. That's always fun.
Shout out to Mama Till.
Yeah, that's right.
Mama Till.
Sister Till. Mama Till. Sister Till.
And yo, too, man. Shout out to Dres' moms, man. They shit good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's
like
healthy.
God,
She's
you know
healthy.
what I'm saying? God bless.
Overcame COVID.
Shout out to everyone out there doing your thing and tuning in to the Boom Bap Chat. We really appreciate y'all. We'll be back next Thursday at the same time. And on that note, we say peace. Shout out Jay from Jers.
Jay from Jers.
Collective.